Have you ever wondered why Satan wanted the body of Moses so badly after his death? This event mentioned in the book of Jude reveals an intriguing celestial battle. In this video, we will explore Satan's motives, the courageous defense of the Archangel Michael, and the powerful lessons from this unique story. This is a narrative full of spiritual significance that challenges our understanding and strengthens our faith. Moses is one of the most iconic figures in the Bible, born during a period of great oppression for the Israelites in Egypt. From his miraculous birth to his education in Pharaoh's court, Moses was prepared for a grand mission. He led the Israelites in the Exodus, symbolizing liberation and redemption. At Mount Sinai, he received the Ten Commandments, consolidating the covenant between God and Israel. As an intermediary between God and the people, Moses interceded for the Israelites and guided them spiritually. Additionally, he performed many miracles, reinforcing the people's faith. After Moses' death, a celestial dispute over his body occurred, as mentioned in Jude 1:9. Michael, the archangel, faced Satan, who tried to claim Moses' body. Satan's motives included preventing a possible resurrection, leading the Israelites into idolatry, and discrediting Moses for his past sins. This conflict raises profound questions about Satan's intentions and understanding of God's plan for Moses. God's decision to bury Moses in an unknown location might have been to protect the Israelites from idolatry. The clash between Michael and Satan serves as a metaphor for the constant spiritual battle in the lives of the faithful. Moses and Elijah's appearance during Jesus' transfiguration suggests that Moses still plays a significant role in the divine plan. Moses' life was marked by grand deeds and a divine mission. He led the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land, confronted Pharaoh, and performed powerful miracles. At Mount Sinai, Moses had a direct encounter with God, receiving the Ten Commandments as moral and spiritual guidelines for the people. Moses was the intermediary through whom God performed numerous miracles, from providing manna in the desert to drawing water from a rock. Despite his great deeds, Moses made a significant mistake with severe consequences. During the journey in the desert, the people frequently complained about the lack of water. God instructed Moses to speak to a rock to bring forth water. However, out of frustration, Moses struck the rock with his staff. As a result of his disobedience, God decreed that Moses could not enter the Promised Land. He could see it from afar, but was not allowed to enter. Moses' life is a testament to leadership, faith, and miracles, but it also reminds us that even the greatest leaders are susceptible to errors. His disobedience teaches us the importance of faithfully following God's instructions. Despite his mistake, Moses remains a central and respected figure in biblical history. Moses' death is a profoundly significant event in the Bible, highlighting his unique relationship with God. Deuteronomy 34:5-6 reports that God personally took care of his burial in a secret location to protect the Israelites from idolatry. The Bible tells us that God himself buried Moses, an act unique in the scriptures, where the creator of the universe directly involves himself in the burial of a human. The location of Moses' burial remained unknown, which has deep implications. One reason for God keeping the burial site secret was to protect the Israelites from idolatry. If they knew where Moses was buried, they might have turned his tomb into an object of worship. Moses' burial by God reflects the intimate and special relationship between them. Moses was not just a leader and prophet. He was considered a friend of God. Moses' death did not mark the end of his spiritual significance. After his death, an intriguing celestial dispute occurred, involving two powerful figures, the Archangel Michael and Satan. The only direct mention of this dispute in the Bible is in Jude 1:9. But when the Archangel Michael, contending with the devil, was disputing about the body of Moses, he did not presume to pronounce a blasphemous judgment, but said, "The Lord rebuke you." This verse reveals an intense conflict between Michael and Satan. Satan wanted Moses' body for several reasons, such as preventing Moses from being resurrected or assumed into heaven, leading the Israelites into idolatry, and discrediting Moses for his past sins. If you want to delve deeper into the supernatural in the Bible and how it relates directly to current times, click on the pinned comment below to get the ebook, Revelation, History, Context, and Relevance for Today. This material is produced by the channel and brings some relevant points about the apocalypse. Michael, the archangel, played a crucial role in this dispute. Instead of confronting Satan directly, Michael invoked God's authority, saying, "The Lord rebuke you." This act underscores Michael's humility and total submission to God's authority and power. By invoking the Lord's name, Michael acknowledged that only God has the supreme power to rebuke and defeat Satan. Satan, known as the accuser, tried to condemn Moses for his past mistakes. Despite being an extraordinary leader, Moses was not free from human faults. Among Moses' most notorious mistakes are the murder of the Egyptian, breaking the tablets of the law, and striking the rock instead of speaking to it as God had instructed, resulting in the prohibition from entering the Promised Land. Satan used these transgressions to try to discredit Moses. Satan's actions regarding Moses' body reflect his attempts to challenge God's plans. However, Michael's defense and God's intervention demonstrate that divine sovereignty always prevails. Moses' story and the celestial dispute over his body offer profound spiritual lessons. True worship is at the heart of our relationship with God. The story reminds us of the need to focus exclusively on the Lord, avoiding all forms of idolatry. In our modern life, this may mean avoiding the idolatry of material goods, status, or anything that takes God's place in our hearts. Moses' story illustrates God's grace that transcends our failures and sins. Despite his mistakes, Moses was a faithful servant and beloved by God. God's personal burial of Moses shows an act of love and honor, demonstrating that God's grace is abundant and redemptive. The celestial dispute offers an inspiring example of resistance to temptations and Satan's attacks. The archangel Michael, confronting Satan, invoked God's power, saying, "The Lord rebuke you." This act teaches us to face spiritual challenges and temptations with faith and courage, using divine power. The spiritual lessons from Moses' story are profound and timeless. True worship, God's grace over our failures, and resistance to Satan's temptations are pillars that support our faith. This story encourages us to seek God's presence, depend on His grace, and firmly resist the enemy's snares. Moses' story offers eternal lessons that can and should be applied in our contemporary lives. Idolatry can manifest in various forms in modern life. We must constantly evaluate our priorities and ensure that God is at the center of our lives. Like Moses, we need to develop humility and dependence on God. We continue to face temptations and challenges that test our faith, but we also have inspiring stories of overcoming and resilience. There are countless contemporary examples of people who resist temptations and remain firm in their faith. We see this in people who overcome addictions and community leaders who continue to serve their communities with integrity and faith. Stories of individuals who faced severe illnesses, significant losses, or financial crises, and found strength and hope in God are inspiring. In many parts of the world, Christians face severe persecution for their faith. Many continue to practice their faith with courage and conviction. Moses' story is not unique in the biblical context. There are other figures who also had extraordinary destinies. Both Elijah and Enoch had extraordinary destinies. Enoch was taken directly to heaven without experiencing death. Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Like Moses, these figures also had a special relationship with God. In the New Testament, the transfiguration of Jesus connects Moses and Elijah. This event symbolizes the continuity of divine revelation, with Moses representing the law and Elijah representing the prophets. Through Moses' story, from his life of leadership and miracles to the celestial dispute over his body, we learn valuable spiritual lessons. We saw the importance of true worship, God's grace over our failures, and the need to resist Satan's temptations. Moses' story encourages us to maintain our unwavering faith and trust in God's wisdom and power, even in the face of the most difficult challenges. We are called to follow God's will with humility and confidence. In our faith journey, it is crucial to practice true worship, avoiding any form of idolatry. We must remain vigilant against Satan's temptations, using God's word as our defense and trusting in His authority. May we continuously seek God's presence in our lives, surrendering to His grace and faithfully following His ways. Enjoy watching the video about the survivors of the flood by clicking on the card on the screen, where I explain two theories on how the Nephilim supposedly survived Noah's flood. God bless.